Thank you so much, everyone, for joining our Each One Reach One recruiting event here at Splunk. My name is Shaniqua Tucker. I'll be your facilitator today. I am a senior SE here at Splunk. I've been here a little bit over a year, and obviously I still can't use Zoom correctly. Thank you for all of the panelists for joining. Thank you for everyone in the audience as well. And I look forward to introducing everyone and having you guys be able to ask questions to our panelists to kind of understand how the recruiting journey is at Splunk. So this is a little bit of our overview. We will have myself, like I gave the intro. We will also have Jason Willett, who is here from HireMilitary, to introduce himself and kind of the mission of HireMilitary and how Splunk partners with them in order to help our veterans out. We will also have Heidi Smith joining us, as well as a panel discussion with various questions that a lot of people that do wish to apply to Splunk, a lot of the questions that they ask, as well as an open Q&A. And please, throughout this entire presentation, feel free to drop questions. We will be able to ask the panelists any of the questions that you send in. Thank you. I'm going to move forward with Jason Willett to go ahead and help us to understand how HireMilitary works in partnership here with Splunk.
Hey, thank you very much. And first off, really honored to be a part of such a great panel and really partner with such a great organization with Splunk. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a military veteran. I retired out of the U.S. Army, 27 years I did. I retired back in 2019. And I think my path is probably the same for many veterans. Got out of the military, really didn't know what I wanted to do, or as we say, don't know what we want to do when we grow up. So I took a job with the state of Washington. I did the job that I thought I should do based off of my military background and based off of what I was being told. So I worked for the state of Washington. It was a great job, great culture, really enjoyed it. But, you know, I just realized I didn't really enjoy it. It was not feeding my passion. So I only stayed there for about 9 months, and I decided to move on to another opportunity. This is something we see with our veterans all the time, is we really don't know what we want to do when we first come out of the military, and we start this job hopping process to try to fill that void. And so really, one of the things we try to do at HireMilitary is try to really shore that up, really give service members the opportunity to understand what role they're going into first before they actually separate out of the military, get hired, and go into that job. I think we've been somewhat successful. So what I'd like to do is just kind of share with you about how HireMilitary was established. Really, it all started back, the company itself is only a couple years old. We established the company in 2018, but the foundation of the company is based off of this program called the DoD Skill Bridge Program. Now, the DoD Skill Bridge Program was established somewhere between 2012 and 2014, and it came to be because DoD was paying so much money in unemployment insurance at the time. So they're like, hey, how can we bring down the costs for all this unemployment we're paying? It was actually affecting other areas of DoD and readiness. So they established this great program, the DoD Skill Bridge Program, which is really what it's geared towards doing is help service members off ramp from the military and really integrate into the civilian sector in a lot easier way than just doing it on their own. And so the way it works is the Skill Bridge Program allows transition service members to participate in internships, apprenticeships, training, different types of things that can help them in the civilian sector during their last 180 days while they're still on active duty, to be able to get this experience. So when they do separate out of the military, they either have this experience and or they have an actual job already lined up based off of using this program. So we seen this at HireMilitary back in 2018. There was a core, 3 or 4 of us, all retired E9s from different services of the military. We said, hey, this is a great program. We got to figure out a way. How do we really get this out to the masses out there to really help transition service members that are out there transitioning? So what we seen was there was actually a gap. There's a lot of other organizations similar to what we do, but a lot of them were they're like associated right with the military base, or they had cohorts, which you could only do it, once or twice a year, or they had prerequisites. So we took a brand new, different approach to it. We do everything through HireMilitary through our website. That way, service members from across the globe can register there and look for opportunities that we have posted there across the nation. So it makes it very, very easy for the service member to sign up. The other thing that we did too is we didn't really do any cohorts. We are really, we're really focused on trying to get the service member, not just get them a job, but get them the transition experience they need. So the way our program is set up is we have opportunities on our website, like Splunk. We have some opportunities from Splunk on our website. The service member can go look at them. It's just a job description, just like any other website you would see, like a jobs board. If the service member thinks that they are eligible or meet the criteria for that particular job, they click the apply button. Our account manager then gets in touch with them, looks at their resume, talks to them, sees if they're a good fit for the role. And then if they are, they'll refer the information over to the hiring manager, in this case for Splunk. And the hiring manager then can make a decision whether or not they'd like to interview the candidate. So if they do interview the candidate, the hiring manager does the direct interview with the transition service member. At that point, HireMilitary kind of steps back and lets the service member and the hiring manager kind of go through that same process as if they were actually looking to get a job, not using the program. And then if they do offer the program, we then at HireMilitary can provide the transition service member all the paperwork they need to get approved through the command. That's really the other aspect of it too. I think a lot of the service members know about the program, they just don't know what paperwork to do to be able to get approved. So we'll provide that for them. One of the big things about our program that's different and unique from all the other programs that are out there is one of the gaps that we seen when we stood up HireMilitary was about 50 or 60% of the transition service members that are leaving the military are leaving at an installation that they don't want to stay at. So for instance, I'm here in Washington. Well, if I'm in Washington and I'm transitioning and I want to go to Florida, well, there's not a whole lot at the transition center here in Washington for opportunities in Florida. And so that's kind of how we come in, and our website then bridges that gap. No matter where you're at, we have nationwide opportunities, and then you can register and find those opportunities around the nation. The other thing that our program does is during that interview process between the hiring manager and the transition and service member, one of the things that's negotiated is the dates and the length of the internship. So that's negotiated directly between the hiring manager and the transition and service member. Why that's so important is because every transition and service member has a different separation date, and they may come to us at a different timeline. So some may have 60 days for an internship, some may have the entire 180 days for an internship. But what this does is, by us just allowing them to negotiate directly with the hiring manager, they're able to, make that internship fit into their transition plans. And it's really, it's really beneficial to them for their transition plans. Here at HireMilitary, we practice what we preach. Our entire staff is comprised of military spouses. I actually have 2 active duty interns that are actually account managers right now. So that's pretty cool. They're active duty and they're talking to active duty service members. And then we have veterans that are on our team. So anytime you come to our program, if you reach out to us, that's who you're talking to. You're talking to someone that's in the military community, and we live this every day. So we're very passionate about what we do. The other thing that's exciting from HireMilitary, our goal is to be a complete ecosphere military community. We're just now starting our direct hire opportunities. So really for veterans and military spouses. So we're really seeing a lot of excitement behind that. So we're really excited to be able to offer internships for transition service members and jobs for veterans and military spouses. So really, really honored to be on this panel. Really thank you for the great partnership we have with Splunk. I know we've found some great candidates for you guys, and I know they're doing some amazing things in your veteran group.
Thank you so much for that, Jason. That is greatly appreciated. Next, I want to hand it over to Heidi Smith, who is our awesome recruiter here supporting the DoD. Go ahead, Heidi.
Everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to this panel. It's an honor to be on this panel. Hello, everyone in the audience. My name is Heidi. I'm an internal recruiter at Splunk. I'm also an Army veteran. I was enlisted and then commissioned in the Healthcare Service Administration within the Army. I actually joined Splunk when I was an Army reservist, so I was doing Army Reserves and Splunk. And I've been with Splunk almost 9 years. I've seen the company go from 500 employees, close to 7,000 employees worldwide. And we hit a little over 2 billion in revenue. And our next big goal is to get to 5 billion in revenue over the next few years. So there's no stopping us. We're going to continue to grow and expand. And it's just a really exciting time to be a part of Splunk. We've got a lot of great benefits here at Splunk and an amazing culture. We love military, we love veterans. We want every veteran military person to be in their dream job, whether it's at Splunk or somewhere else. So Splunk is just a really special place. We have the very competitive benefits, your typical healthcare, medical, dental, but we also like to offer a lot of PTO, also known as leave in the military world, to spend time with your family. We also offer volunteer hours. So if you want to volunteer with your local charity group, you can do that as well. We also have global rest days and just a lot of great stuff here at Splunk. Also, if you choose to stay in the military as a reservist, we do offer military leave. That program is always evolving and growing. And then also we have over 8 employee resource groups, veterans being one of them, and also beeves. And really these groups are here to help people like veterans and other people come into Splunk and really be part of something, not just work, but also be a part of something at Splunk and get to know and feel connected and part of the culture. I often get asked, what is it that recruiters look for when they're interviewing candidates, and what do we want to see that puts them above the rest when coming to Splunk? And I'm going to share with you 3 things that we look for, and you can really use these 3 things at any company you're interviewing with, whether it's Splunk, Google, Microsoft, or maybe you're interviewing with GE or other companies out there. Of course, we want you to come to Splunk, but really we want every veteran and military to be in their dream job, whether it's at Splunk or another technology company or another non-technology company. Being a recruiter, I know that companies just absolutely love folks in the military or have that military background. They're very disciplined. They come to work on time. If they're on time, they're late. They come 15 minutes early, stuff like that. So you're in a very good position, especially a great marketplace. So what are the 3 things that we look for when we're interviewing candidates? We want to see people that are very passionate. Are they passionate about cutting edge technology, or are they passionate about what they do? Maybe they're interviewing at a technology company like Splunk, but they're in finance, so they're really not in technology. But are they passionate about crunching those numbers in the bottom line? Or maybe they're interviewing for a recruiting role. Are they passionate about getting people those dream jobs? Or maybe they're a software engineer or a sales engineer. Are they passionate about the technology, the cutting edge technology? Have they taken the time to download Splunk in the free trial? Have they checked out our website? Have they looked at what our customers are doing and looked at those videos? You can go to our website and find a lot of great customer testimonials like Domino's Pizza, McLaren, the sports car, and how they're using Splunk. It's pretty amazing. So we want to see that. Are they looking up, when they're interviewing, are they looking up the people that they're going to interview with ahead of time? Are they looking them up on LinkedIn, getting to know them? And when they talk to them on the interview, are they finding a way to connect with the interviewers? Also, are they researching Splunk? We just had an earnings call on August 24th that's viewable to the public. Are they going in and are they listening to that? And you can do that with Google, Microsoft, GE, CVS, all these publicly traded companies. You can go in and find information about them. And I encourage you to do that before you interview. Another thing that we look for is, do you have a growth mindset? Are you willing to face challenges? Are you flexible? We have a saying at Splunk, and it's been said from other people as well: fail fast, learn from your mistakes, and move forward. We realize that you're not always going to have 100% successes. You need to have some failures, mistakes to get to those successes, inventions, things like that. So do you have that type of mindset? We also look for, are you a team player? Are you going to come to Splunk and are you going to bring your best practices, share your successes with your team and help them get better too? Or maybe one of your teammates lands a deal or does something phenomenal at Splunk. Are you going to help with their success? We really like to see that as well. So those are the 3 things that I encourage everyone that's in the audience to do when they're interviewing, whether it's at Splunk or somewhere else. Now, how can you apply for roles at Splunk? We have over 1,000 openings. Yes, 1,000 openings worldwide at Splunk. So check out our career site, www.splunk.careers, and look at the positions. And if you see something that you're interested in, that's going to challenge you, and that you have some of the requirements, you don't need all of the requirements, I encourage you to submit your online application and resume. We do look at those, and we will get back to the person, usually within 48 hours or up to a week. And we look forward to seeing your resume. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. That was amazing. Thank you for the encouragement to everyone that is in the job market right now, especially during our rough times. Before I introduce our panelists, I do want to pay respect to all of the soldiers that we lost in Afghanistan recently. I do want to just take a couple of minutes just to explain how Splunk is helping to alleviate some of the efforts and provide immediate help. Splunk is committed to $200,000 to try to help the vital work that's done with disaster response agencies, not only $100,000 to the International Red Cross, but also to the American Red Cross. So please feel free, if you're an internal Splunker, to utilize Benevity to have all of your donations matched. And for anyone else outside of Splunk, please feel free to help the Red Cross during this time. All right. My name is Shaniqua Tucker. I'm a senior sales engineer for public sector. I am also a 12-year Army vet, so I'm very familiar with how the military transitions go and kind of how all of the processes encompass, trying to shift your mindset from military to civilian. I also want to introduce my immediate boss, Melissa Andrews. She is the sales engineering manager for public sector. She is the person that brought me into Splunk, so thank you, Melissa. I also have Kathy Tallman, who is the defense director for all of sales engineering within the public sector. She has been an integral part to my success here as well. We also have Bonnie Rosensteel, who is the director of contracts offices within the professional services team here at Splunk. And we have Antoinette Rains, who is a former an Air Force vet, Air Force, right, Antoinette? I don't want to mess it up. She is a veteran and is a part of the GFE program here within Splunk. I'm super excited to speak with everyone and kind of pick their brains. This is a very informal discussion, so please feel free to let us know your opinions and ask questions all throughout this so that we can try to get all those questions answered. Thank you so much. So the first question that I want to ask to all of the panelists is, what brought you to Splunk and what has been your aha moment while you've been here? I'll start with Bonnie.
The host would like me to unmute. Okay, great morning. Hi, Bonnie Rosensteel. I've been at Splunk for about 4.5 years. I'm an almost 17-year Army National Guard veteran. I was a musician in the military, so kind of a unique path. My aha moment at Splunk pretty much started on day one. I came back when we were really only around 1,000 employees, already publicly traded, and I knew I wanted to come to a company that was growing and that wasn't chasing the market, but was leading it. And even though I'm an artist at heart, a lot of the skills that I learned as an artist really benefited me in my job here at Splunk. And my aha moment really was in that first week. It was the people and the culture. The company's changed a lot in the last 4 years. It's a lot more robust and we're growing really fast, but it has always been the people from day one. And this panel is no exception. Veterans and the Beams ERGs are just great organizations that we have here. And there have been more that have been raised up since I've been here. And when I first got to Splunk, I think we only had 2 ERGs, and now we have, is it 8 or 10? So the passion here, it's really the people. There's so much passion around not just the work, but our relationships and how we connect with each other. And at the end of the day, that's really what matters. So that's my aha, and it continues to be that way. I continue to be impressed by the people that work here.
Thank you so much for that. Heidi, what brought you to Splunk, and what was your aha moment that, potentially other people can learn from?
Hi. So what brought me to Splunk? Oh gosh, 500 employees. I was interviewing with a couple of other great companies, very well known, and I'm a recruiter. I was also interviewing with LinkedIn and another company, and the 500 employees that they wanted to get to 5 billion in revenue, and then also the product and what it could do for businesses. It solves real life business challenges and problems. Another thing we all know about, the terrorists and laundering money and stuff like that. And Splunk can really help save the world and make this world a safer place, and the culture and the people. I knew I was home when I walked into the office.
I tell people that all the time and they think I'm joking. Melissa, what brought you to Splunk and what was your aha moment?
Thanks, Shaniqua. Hello to everyone out there. I had worked at Oracle for a very long time before I came to Splunk. I was in a good position and thought I would stay there for a while. And what brought me to Splunk was some former coworkers who left Oracle and came to Splunk and started saying, this is the best place ever to work. You have to come here. And so I didn't know much about machine data, which is where Splunk lives. I was more familiar with relational data, which is what Oracle does, but the data is data. And I said, okay, I'll come check it out. And it's been a great ride ever since. I am fortunate. I did not serve in the military, but my entire career, pretty much except for 2 years, has been supporting the military. So my accounts, Shaniqua's accounts, we support the U.S. Army. So been very privileged to do that. My aha moment was during the interview process here at Splunk. It's gotten a little shorter, but when I started, which is a little over 6 years ago, you met with quite a few people. And, Heidi probably can remember this. She probably set up many of those interviews. And after I was hired, I was like, why did you have to meet with so many people? And they're like, well, we want to make sure that we hire nice people. Right? We can teach you the technology, but we can't teach you to be a nice person. And so they have you talk to different people to get a feel for you as a person. And Splunk is a lot about the person. And I think that was my aha moment and something that I've continued to enjoy here.
Thank you so much. That gives me flashbacks of my huge, long interview process. That's awesome. Kathy, what brought you to Splunk and what was your aha moment?
Yes, well, much like Melissa, I had been at my previous employer, Cisco Systems, for a very long time. Loved it there. It's a great company. But I had reached a point where I really wanted to try something new and challenge myself. And I had a couple of good friends of mine that were at Splunk, and I just kept hearing about things. And then one of them reached out and said, hey, there's this defense director opening. And I thought, that sounds pretty interesting. And so now all of you that are on the panel, now you also have met us. So now you know somebody that's at Splunk, and we're telling you it's a great place. But in the interview process, I had a lot of interviews too, but a couple of things really stood out. One gentleman named David Page said, Splunk is just limited by what you can imagine. You can do anything you can imagine with it. And I thought, wow, that's really neat. And then another person that I interviewed with, Suzanne Campbell, said, it's just a really special place here. And, I had, through the course of the interview, gained a lot of respect for her. And I thought, there's something to that. I want to dig into that more. And I came here and, when you've been at one place for a long time, just like, we got folks on the panel that have been in the military for a long time, you wonder when you walk in the door and something that's really completely different is, how is this going to be? How am I going to feel? Am I going to feel homesick for where I used to be? People seem nice in the interview, but are they really? And I had a couple of interactions for people on my team that reached out to me, and they were just so welcoming and so nice. And that was my aha moment when a couple of folks on the team reached out and just said, hey, welcome. We're so glad you're here. And what can I help you with? And it's been great.
Thank you so much for that. We're happy to have you here. Antoinette, what brought you to Splunk and what was your aha moment?
Thanks, Shaniqua. What brought me to Splunk was I had a former colleague that worked with me at DLI in 2017 and 18. And DLI is in Monterey, California. It's the Defense Language Institute. And so even though I had been out of the military a while, I was fortunate enough to be found online and have a job there and be right back in that setting of military, because it's Presidio of Monterey. It's a base, but it's where anyone who's going to be a linguist for the military and other civilians in government goes to DLI. And you might be there as little as 6 weeks or as long as 3 years. If you're going to be learning Farsi and Russian and things like that, because you're going to be a translator, you're going to be there for 3 years. So all of a sudden I was back in this military environment, and a colleague of mine at the time, he was an Army vet, and he left and went to Splunk, but he was like a contractor in the NOC. And he would always text me pictures of like happy hour, or our boss is making us these drinks, we're getting ready to go into a meeting. And I was like, whatever, dude, I was like, you suck and things. And so he was like, you should try to get in here. So I looked, and there was no job for me. I'm a systems admin, an LMS admin, or LMS, which is, everybody gets their training in. And like a week and a half later, I got a alert from Indeed that Splunk had a LMS and CMS admin open. And I was like, no way. So I applied, and Heidi wound up being my recruiter, and she connected with me. And I remember having like 26 questions or 10 questions, something on the email. And I was like, seriously? And then I had 7 interviews, and I've been here since April of 2018. And my aha moment was when I knew this was home, like you guys say, you walk in the door. I live in Southern California, so I had to fly up north for my first week of training and onboarding. And I can remember towards the end of that week, I went down to San Jose. And I'm walking in, it was Friday morning. I knew I'd be going home. So I'm walking in with my suitcase, and because then I was going to fly to San Jose. And this guy holds the door open for me. This was on a Thursday, holds the door open for me, and then gets on the elevator, says what floor. I say 6. And he's like, okay. And afterwards, he's like, have a great day. I'm like, okay, you too. So that was on a Thursday. So the very next morning, I see this same guy in jeans. He had on like khakis and a blazer and stuff the first day. So I see jeans and some Vans or Chucks. I think they're black Vans, and, just a t-shirt. And somebody was like, oh, this must be the end of the QBR, and Doug something, something. I was like, Doug, who were you talking about? They said, oh, our CEO, Doug, he's right there. And I was like, in the jeans? They said, yeah. So I went over to him and I was like, seriously, dude, you didn't even tell me yesterday when you opened the door, we're chatting in the elevator, all this stuff, that you're our CEO? And he cracked up and he was like, oh, no, I don't do stuff like that. But who are you? And I told him my name and what my job was. He was like, you're the most important person in the company, right? With that LMS job. I was like, no, that would be you, dude, because you're a CEO. And he said, no, all of the training for the field, for the compliance training is going to go through that system. And you have to make sure that system's right and maintained. He said, so when I say you're like the most important person in the company, I'm serious. So right there, they were, they have a buffet layout for the executives. That's amazing, right? And all that week in the office, like any floor you go on, there's food galore, there's all kinds of stuff. And the people are incredible. The majority of Splunk is probably A-type personalities, because we're very much like go-getters, right? But incredible. And so that was my aha moment when I was able to go up and say, seriously, dude, to our CEO. And we just chatted and laughed and all of that. And ever since, like, whenever I see him, he's like, yeah, Antoinette. But, the culture is amazing. And the passion from all of the people that work at Splunk are amazing. And for anyone who's on the panel, if you are, found us on LinkedIn or saw an invitation and you're here, definitely try to connect with any of us and definitely try to get in or see if your skills match what we're looking for. And this is a place to be. I'll be here till the wheels fall off.
I told Melissa the same thing. I said, I'm here so you guys get rid of me.
Exactly.
The culture is everything. I mean, I feel like everybody's my best friend. So that's awesome. I want to circle back around to Bonnie and kind of get an understanding for the audience. What skills do you feel are the most essential in the workforce right now, and that would help Splunk the most on teams?
It's such a great question. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've been, and to be a little vulnerable here, like this past year, past 4 or 5 years, I've felt like I've almost been constantly in fight or flight mode. And in fight or flight, like I have a tendency to shut down, right, and not connect. And perspective taking and listening are like necessary salves in our world today. So I've been really trying to listen more, you know, even though I'm feeling defensive sometimes and I'm feeling like, man, I've got this mountain in front of me of work or family issues or whatever that is, just listening more than I talk. And I've got plenty of woes that I could complain about, but just taking a moment to listen so I can hear the perspective of another person. And being a veteran, having done that before, like we're used to that, right? Being in a pluralistic group where we've got multiple mindsets and ways of life. So I think that's something that is special and unique to the military mindset that we bring to the table, which is a general soft skill, just deep listening, really listening to the other person so that we can hear and understand their perspective. Because you can't build a bridge across an ocean, but you can build a bridge across a river, right? If you acknowledge the other side. So
I like that a lot. And I'm definitely going to ask you what that was again so I can write it down. We do have a question from the audience, and anyone on the panel, feel free to answer. How do you recommend that your resume stands out from the rest of the applicants? What is that sparkle, razzle dazzle that can be added?
So I just interviewed, we have a SkillBridge intern on our team, the Department of Defense team, and I interviewed him yesterday. And he has a ton of skills, though he's never been a sales engineer, which is a technical position. He has a ton of skills that would transfer very easily. And I'll just highlight a few of them. Great communication skills. I think in the military, you all learn very quickly to speak up and down the chain, which is very important, right? Because some days you may be speaking to a colonel or a general, and other days you're going to be speaking to the sysadmin, or you may be speaking to the CIO, and then other days you're speaking to, again, you know, a Windows operator. So that is a great skill that I think you all have. And then the concept of the unit. So everyone in the unit has a different job, and you all have to pull together, and that spirit of collaboration is really important in our area in tech, because we present to the customers, but then we still have to work with professional services. That's who Bonnie deals with. We may have to come internally and talk to Antoinette's team and say, you know, we need this type of training. How can we get that done? We may have to go to development and get some information. So you all already know how to work with people who don't do the same job that you do, but who have information that you need. And I think those are two very important skills that are found in the military that can transfer to any job. You also get moved around a lot, right? So you learn how to adapt. And that is, you know, I think it was Heidi or Bonnie who said, you have to have a growth mindset. Things are constantly changing at a technical company. And so being able to say, all right, you know, I'm not at Fort Bragg anymore. I'm in Germany. They do things a little different. It's the same thing here, right? We used to just sell Splunk Enterprise, and now we have enterprise security. I got to learn that, you know, the ability to adapt, I think, is something that the military teaches that can be applied. Anyone else on the panel have any thoughts about that?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, this is Heidi, and definitely as far as, you know, making your resume stand out, to piggyback on what Melissa said, I mean, resume in general, make sure you do put on your military information. We do love to see that. Numbers, quantify, you know, if you've led a team of 5 or, you know, 80 people rolled up to you, anything with numbers, money, cost savings that you can put on your resume, that's going to help as well. What else did you do in the military as far as leadership, or did you do some extracurricular activities? I remember when I was in, we could volunteer to do other stuff, put that on your resume. I did stuff with EEO and also diversity, but maybe you did other stuff, you know, your soccer, you played on the soccer league or something like that, put that on your resume. Also on your LinkedIn profile, don't be afraid to put in hobbies. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm helping my cousin who's getting ready to retire from the Air Force. And it's, you know, put that on your LinkedIn and then on your resume and put that stuff in too.
Thank you so much for that, Heidi. We have another question for Melissa. You said we'll teach you the tech. Can you expand on that statement? As I know, and many other vets I speak with feel that we lack the technical skills to transition to a company like Splunk, but have the leadership, innovation, and teamwork mindset Heidi mentioned.
Sure. Kitch, so I think first off, organizations like HireMilitary are really good to get involved with because of the affiliation that they're going to have with different companies who are coming to them saying, okay, I know that these veterans may not have all of the technical skills, but I know that they want to work in tech, and we'll be looking for the other skills that we mentioned. So part of it is the company that you're applying to has to be willing to think outside the box. And that's something that's encouraged in my organization. Kathy is my manager, and she talks about that all the time, right? I just sent her a Slack this afternoon saying, oh, I don't think we can send, one of my team members to this conference. And she's like, well, let's think about that. Wouldn't it be good if we did X, Y, and Z? So a big part of it, while, doing the things that Heidi said, highlighting your, what I'll call your soft skills, a big part of it is going to be the company, right? Some companies are just going to say, we need you to have these technical skills. And if that's the case, well, that's okay, right? But working with Jason and HireMilitary, he will have an idea. Splunk's one of those companies where, they have a really strong onboarding process. They'll be able to help you. So I think that's one of the benefits that associating with somewhere like HireMilitary, where they get to know the companies and kind of what they're looking for, is important. The other thing is a lot of companies, Splunk included, have free training that you can start to take to show that, hey, I'm committed to this. I've started to, to do so. Again, another former vet that we interviewed, he had spoken to Kathy, and she really liked him, and she asked me to talk to him. And during her conversation, she had mentioned Splunk's doing a lot with cloud. And when we had our conversation, like, Kathy mentioned cloud, and I started my AWS certification training, right? I was like, oh my goodness, right? Like, he didn't even know if he was going to be hired, but she said this was a good thing, and I think that is an attitude that a lot of veterans have, right? What's the thing that I can learn? Maybe I don't know it now, but if you tell me, then I can do that. So I would suggest work with Jason and his team. He'll tell you the companies that are, willing to think outside the box, and that can help. And please link in, Shaniqua and Kathy and myself, and we can start, helping. If you think you want to go the tech route, we can start helping you figure out what you might need to do.
Thank you for that, Melissa. And speaking of Jason, I do want to get his take from a HireMilitary perspective of what would help on a resume to help candidates stick out from the rest.
Yeah, sure thing. So I think we can connect the two questions that we have together. So first thing on the resume, and we see a lot of them. We look at a lot of resumes for transition service members. One of the things that I always recommend to service members is, again, remember, we're talking about the bigger, broader aspect of transition, not just finding a job, but making that full transition. We really promote a lot at HireMilitary about conducting informational interviews and building out a network of folks that you know. And so one of the things we see all the time is, those that are transitioning with a lot of military jargon in their resume that, as much as we'd love to have a veteran at every company, reading these resumes, honestly, there's not a whole lot of veterans across the board when we're actually doing referrals. So what we always recommend is, one, we take a quick look and say, hey, take a look at this or that, but then also reach out to someone in your career field. Even better, if you can find someone in the company that on LinkedIn that, would be willing to kind of give you a quick look at your resume and say, hey, there's some stuff on here people wouldn't understand. That's extremely beneficial to really help you really have the right verbiage in there, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of companies that, to this, someone said before, they're just looking strictly for what those requirements are, and if they're not in there, or they have Army jargon or military jargon that they don't understand, they'll pass on the resume, and it's a real travesty when they do that. And to the rest of the panel's point, one of the benefits of going with an organization like HireMilitary, like I told you, we have all military spouses, veterans, and active duty service members that are actually looking at your resumes and trying to translate that over to the employer. And what we do a lot of times, we've had a lot of success with this, is we build rapport with employers like a Splunk or some of the other companies out there. And a lot of times they'll just go off of our word to say, hey, this candidate, I read this candidate's resume and I think they're going to be a good fit. And I've done this with many companies, and it's amazing how it works once they get to believe and trust in your judgment. It's like, hey, just give them a shot, talk to them. You know, I know the resume doesn't say specifically what you're looking for, but just talk to them. And we have companies now just based off of that, building that rapport. They don't even care about the resume. They say, is this a good fit or not? And we refer them over. And obviously, I'm not saying not put work in your resume. You need to put work in your resume, but it becomes less of something that's really that they look at, and more they want to talk to the person in general. So I would say, you know, to kind of summarize, just talk to someone about the Army, the military. I keep saying Army because the Army, the military jargon. Because we do see a lot of resumes that it's hard to hand over to an employer, especially we know if they don't have a strong veteran presence. It's hard to hand over some of these resumes to an employer for a referral because they're just not going to understand it, and they're not going to, you know, they're not going to be able to know what the service members are capable of doing. Those informational interviews are key, whether it's resume, whether it's just getting an idea about what the company's like. Those are key as well. And then, you know, like you said, there's one of the things out here in the veteran space is there's a ton of free resources. Actually, there's too many. It's kind of overwhelming when you actually try to look for help. You don't know who to look for help, but leverage all the resources out here as a veteran, because there are some great programs out here that can really help you bridge that gap and land that next career.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, HireMilitary, too, for being a great partner. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Bonnie.
I'm interrupting because this is important. Not all roles are technical. So I just want to throw that out there. I was a musician in the military. I structured missions that we would go on. Like, were you a supply sergeant? Maybe you were a readiness NCO. Maybe you helped put performance teams together or mission teams together. Those skills are all transferable. And just like in the military here at Splunk, I'm not a technical person. I'm an operations gal all day long. So there are lots of jobs out there that you don't need to be technical. And so just like in the military, like Melissa, I believe, said it earlier, you know, in the military, we need medics, we need cooks, we need mission leaders. Like, all of those roles are important, and the same is the case here. So not every role is technical. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I was talking to the mute again. Thank you, Bonnie. Antoinette, can you please explain more about beams and veterans ERGs within Splunk?
Sure. So Splunk has ERGs, aka employee resource groups, right? So Beams happens to be the Black employees and mentors at Splunk. It was established in 2018, and we have about 200, a little over 200 members. We have Melissa as one of our executives on the team, and a couple of people that I believe are on the panel or watching, the attendees. Bobby and Christopher are our president and vice president, and Melissa is our treasurer / whatever else you need her to be. And and Beams has been a wealth of great information and support for Black employees. Most people know that in the tech space, there's not a whole lot of us. And so in this company, we continue to grow. And I think I've seen this week about 4 new people at least added to our Slack channel, which is really nice to see, both male and female. So the fact that our numbers are growing are great. And the Veterans ERG, let me just say this. Our ERGs are really safe spaces for anyone, depending on what they are. We have like our natives, our Filipinx, our Latinx, our Pride ERG. So people sometimes feel marginalized or just connect better with someone from their own culture and background or whatever. It's a really good safe space that they can participate in. And then like this, Beams and Veterans, this is a collaborative event. So we've got our Beams and our veterans, and there happens to be 2 Beams who are veterans, myself and Shaniqua, on this call. And then it's a really nice space, especially like seeing what's going on right now in Afghanistan. for those that served during the last 20 plus years over there or in support of that mission, it could be quite triggering, right? So in the Veterans ERG this week, we've seen, some memes or some beautiful pictures of representing or having to do with fallen soldiers or fallen Marines or fallen corpsmen, because as we know of the 13 that were fallen, I believe it was 10 were Marines, 9 were from here at Camp Pendleton in Southern California. And then there was, I think, 1 Army or 2 Army and 1 Naval Corpsman. So it really is a group of people. The veterans were brothers and sisters, right? Whether we're reservists that are active duty reservists, whether we are veterans, and it doesn't matter our branch, we rib each other about our branches, because if anybody that knows anything about the military knows that my wonderful branch is always called the chair force, and people say we get all these perks. Well, we do. And so our comeback is, well, sorry you weren't smart enough to join the Air Force, so you had to go in the Army or the Marines, things like that, right? But we love each other and we'll have each other's back no matter what. And so we do the same here, but it's all of our ERGs are safe spaces. And I'm like a member of everybody's, because for me, it's a growth, like we talked about growth mindset. I need to learn about, what makes people in the Pride ERG tick, or what offends them, or where their hearts are, or whatever. I want to know more about Natives. I've got that in my family background. I want to know more about Filipinx other than their food, right? I want to know more about Latinx rather than Mexican food is the bomb, or, they're dancing or partying or whatever. So being a part of all these ERGs, I really get to learn about the different cultures and backgrounds of all the amazing people that I work with at Splunk. And I think it's just something really good. So Beams and Veterans are 2 ERGs that I'm part of, and several people here are either part of or are allies of. And it's just a great place to be, and be able to know you have empowerment through these ERGs to make change, effective change in the workplace.
Thank you for that, Antoinette. You took the words right out of my mouth. So those ERGs specifically made me feel empowered to even think of something like this. So I appreciate having that, open forum to be able to say you have an idea, it's something that you're passionate about, recruiting people, and you can make it come to fruition. So that's awesome. Trying not to cry, my allergies are bad. I do want to ask if anyone else has any other questions. We do have 9 minutes left. I do want to ask another question to Kathy. Why is now a good time to join Splunk?
Well, now is a great time to join Splunk, because Splunk has done so many wonderful things for our employees during the pandemic. There's been so much support for our needs, the recognition that when we all went remote, we would have to purchase things to get a remote office. There was a real sense early on that everyone's just fatigued, and they came up with a global day off. It was May 4th of 2020, and they said, "May the 4th be with you." Take off on Star Wars, so we kicking off our fun theme too. But it was just a great day when the whole world and our whole lives were getting turned upside down, and Splunk recognized that. And that's just continued. There's such a great focus on health and wellness and mental health right now that's really important. And so that's globally, a lot of great things about Splunk. But if I look at our organization that Melissa and Shaniqua and I are in, and we do have openings, there's just a great time to be here, because what's happening at Splunk and with the Department of Defense is pretty exciting. We have a lot of Department of Defense customers who use Splunk, and there's a lot of interest in that. There's a lot of great use cases, and I would say enthusiasm for Splunk in DoD. So when you work here, you can go back and visit your old stomping grounds, and you'll find a welcome for Splunk there. And then if I can get a little technical just for a moment, the DoD, when we look at the IT or the comm space, the A6, the N6, the G6, right, to use a little DoD terminology, there's a real move towards cloud. There's an interest across the federal government and in DoD to take our comms to the cloud. And I'm so happy to announce that Splunk has put in a tremendous amount of effort and time to have a DoD certified cloud offering that's now available. So that's an exciting thing that we can share as Splunk employees when we go out to the DoD. It's called our Impact Level 5 or IL5 cloud offering. So it's a great time here.
Thank you. I agree. Anyone else on the panel want to talk about why now is a good time to join Splunk? Or any other questions from the audience as well? Please feel free. We have a couple of minutes left. I'll pick on Bonnie. Bonnie, why is now a good time to join Splunk and be on your team?
I mean, everybody said really great things here. I don't know that I'm adding anything new, but I mean, thinking about the audience in this particular panel, right? I mean, we are growing so fast and there's so much opportunity here. But it takes like that, you know, balancing of two foci, the mission, but also being able to be flexible on a day-to-day basis and working with your teammates. And there are very few people that know that better than those that have lived that experience, right? So veterans, BIPOC folks that have had to move through society holding on to two truths at once. That mindset is really what we need the most of that, because we're trying to get to 5 billion and we're moving really, really quickly, but have to be agile and adapt every single day. So folks that have that lived experience, those are the best candidates. And so people that have joined today, a lot of amazing people on this panel, they're the best ones that have that mindset. And now's the time.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jason, if you want to go ahead and discuss the program that you have with HireMilitary regarding LinkedIn, feel free and help out some of the audience members that have questions about it.
Yeah, so we have a separate program. So HireMilitary, we have a parent company, Sonova, and then we have HireMilitary. Then we have a separate program called the Digital Networking Professional Platform, or Professional Program, I'm sorry. And what it is basically our CEO, Mike Quinn, some of you may know him. He's a LinkedIn, two-time LinkedIn top voice. He goes all around. Well, he doesn't go all around. It's virtual now. He does all these LinkedIn training sessions. So what we did is we took some of what he did and some of what the rest of our team had done on LinkedIn, and we actually turned it into a LinkedIn course that really helps you from the ground up, build your profile, use all the tools, and so on and so forth. I'll share the link to that actual program that's out there. Now, for active duty service members, it's approved through the COOL program. So it's actually, they can actually sign up with their tuition assistance and actually take it quote unquote for free. But the other thing too, I'll offer as well, anybody that reaches out to me too, as we were creating that program, I have a separate guide that we've created that will you could read through it. It's really helpful to really set up your LinkedIn profile, really kind of give you some ideas of what to really use. Because I'll be perfectly honest with you, probably 80% of my work is not really directly tied to HireMilitary. I do a lot of work where I'm just helping, coaching and mentoring and teaching people out there. So every resource I have transition briefs, I have LinkedIn guides, everything that I have is free. I'll give it to whoever wants it because I'm just trying to help the next person not have such a struggle in transition. But I'll share the LinkedIn for the actual certification course for LinkedIn. And then anybody that reaches out to me personally, I'll happily share whatever resources I have to help them with their transition, or even with veterans that are already out there that may be looking to do a career change or something along that nature.
Thank you. LinkedIn is the way. It's how I've met everybody on the team. It's how I connected with Melissa and Kathy to get this position. Thank you all for tuning in. This means so much to me. Thank you to all the panelists. These questions were amazing. Please feel free to add me on LinkedIn, add all the panelists, ask me a million questions. I've already had a few people that are here on the call now to ask how they can get into Splunk. We do have openings on our team, so please feel free to hit me up. Thank you again and have a great evening.